Good evening. I'm Haylee Ficuciello, and this is your Englebrook Independent News Federal Crime Report, bringing you the latest major federal and superior court cases out of Washington, D.C. Tonight, a violent carjacking spree ending in a nearly 3 decades behind bars. A man sentenced for deadly shooting of an innocent bystander. A disturbing child exploitation case involving a D.C. journalist, and multiple convictions tied to firearms, narcotics, and repeat violent offenders. We begin tonight with a case that shook Southeast Washington. A Washington, D.C. man will spend the majority of his adult life in prison following a violent series of carjackings carried out over just 5 days in August of 2022. 22-year-old Jerome Israel has been sentenced to 29 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. According to prosecutors, Israel and a masked accomplice targeted victims in Southeast DC, often approaching from behind and using firearms to intimidate and control the victims. On August 20th of 2022, a victim unloading a 2021 Nissan Sentra near 7th and D Street Southeast was ambushed. One suspect pointed a gun while Israel reached into the victim's pockets, stealing personal belongings and keys. They drove off in the stolen vehicle. Just 3 days later, the same stolen Nissan was used in a second carjacking at a gas station alongside Pennsylvania Avenue Southeast. This time, the victim driving a BMW 328i was robbed at gunpoint. Israel again searched the victim's pocket, stealing a wallet before fleeing in the BMW. Then, on August 25th, the pair struck again. At Sitco Station, they pulled up again beside a Dodge Challenger. Israel personally banished a firearm, demanding the keys. Within seconds, two stolen vehicles fled the scene. Israel was arrested just 5 days later, on August 30th, and he has remained in custody ever since. A judge declined to apply youth rehabilitation protection, affirming 29 years at sentence. A separate case highlighting the deadly consequences of incrimination gun violence. 30-year-old DeRay Wilson has been sentenced to 18 years in prison for a 2021 killing of an innocent bystander. The victim, 53 years old, Jeremy Black, was simply walking with his wife and friends after dinner when Wilson and three armed individuals opened fire, unleashing more than 45 rounds on a public street in Northwest DC. Black was struck on the torso and died at the scene. The shooters fled in a stolen vehicle. Wilson pled guilty to second-degree murder while armed. He will also serve 5 years of supervised release and must register as a gun offender. In one of the most disturbing cases this month, a Washington, D.C. video journalist has pled guilty to possession of child sexual abuse material. 48-year-old Thomas Van Legro now awaits sentencing in federal court. Federal agents executed a search warrant at his home in June of 2025. Inside, they discovered electronic devices and fragments of a destroyed hard drive hidden beneath a basement rug. Forensic review uncovered a folder containing 11 videos depicting sexual abuse of prepubescent children. Legro is scheduled to be sentenced in September of 2026. A previously convicted offender has been sentenced in connection with a deadly shooting in 2024. 36-year-old Monteith Morton received 14 years in prison for killing 29-year-old Demetrius Brown. Prosecutors say the shooting followed a brief altercation at Hofford Street Southeast. Morton, who was prohibited from possessing a firearm due to prior convictions, opened fire. He pled guilty to voluntarily manslaughter while armed and will serve an additional 5 years of supervised release. A routine fare evasion stop turned into a major public safety threat. 30-year-old Gerald Evans, a convicted felon and registered sex offender, has been sentenced to 21 months in prison. On December 10th of 2024, Evans boarded a DC Metro bus carrying a concealed bag. When stopped by the police, he reportedly stated, "That's my gun." A stolen Mossberg 590 Shockwave 12-gauge shotgun, loaded and ready to fire. Evans has a long criminal history, including prior violent offenses and repeat failure to register as a sex offender. He will also serve 3 years of supervised release. A federal wiretap investigation has led to multiple convictions in a large-scale drug trafficking operation in Southeast DC. 55-year-old Lawrence Smith has been sentenced to 12 months and 1 day in prison. Investigators say Smith played a consistent role in distributing cocaine, obtaining narcotics every other day, and redistributing them throughout the Pond Gardens neighborhood. Authorities estimate that Smith was responsible for distributing between 200 and 300 grams of cocaine. Multiple co-defendants have also been charged or sentenced with additional cases still pending. And finally, a bizarre robbery that escalated into a dangerous armed confrontation. 28-year-old Narkeel Henderson, a three-time felon, has been sentenced to 56 months in federal prison. Prosecutors say Henderson intentionally crashed a scooter into a stopped vehicle, then demanded money from the driver, claiming damages of his clothes. When the victim refused, he shoved her, stole her satchel, and fled. During a police chase, Henderson was found armed with a Glock 45 caliber handgun. Officers also recovered 50 oxycodone pills in his possession. At the time of his arrest, Henderson was already facing multiple violent charges, including a pending murder charge. These cases underscore continued federal focus on violent crimes, illegal firearms, and narcotic traffickings across the district. From carjackings and homicides to organized drug operations and repeat offenders, federal prosecutors say accountability remains the priority. I'm Haylee Ficuciello for Englebrook Independent News. Stay informed, stay safe. Good night.